What's shaking, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Gardner Oat, founder and CEO of GEMS Intercontinental, an abbreviation for Gardner's English Mastery School Intercontinental, where we learn English the practical and conversational way. Well, I'm back again with another exciting episode on making and receiving phone calls. And to be very specific, I have prepared detailed slides on how to politely ask someone to repeat themselves. Without wasting much time, let's dive in. Sorry, could you please repeat that? Now, this particular phrase works because it is simple, polite, and universally accepted. So you get to use this particular phrase in everyday conversations for both casual and professional talks. Remember to keep your tone soft and neutral to avoid sounding impatient. Fantastic. I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Would you mind saying it again? Now, this particular phrase works because it shows attentiveness and respect for the speaker. You use this particular phrase when you miss a part of what was said earlier in the conversation. Okay? Make sure to use "would you mind" to sound more courteous. Apologies. Could you go over that one more time? Now, this particular phrase sounds polished and very respectful. That is why it works at the end of the day. You use this particular phrase for formal or professional settings, and make sure to maintain a steady and confident tone while using this phrase. Fantastic. Let's get to the next phrase. Sorry, could you repeat the last part? Now, this particular phrase works simply because it's very specific and efficient. You use this particular phrase when you understood most of the message but missed a detail. Make sure to emphasize the last part to guide the speaker. Fantastic. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that clearly. Could you say it again? Now, this particular phrase works simply because it explains the reason without blaming the speaker. You use this particular phrase when the audio clarity is the issue, and make sure to say it using a calm tone and pair this with active listening after they repeat. Fantastic. Would you mind repeating that for me, please? This particular phrase works because the phrasing softens the request, right? And you use this particular phrase whenever you are using what we call polite and slightly formal conversations. And at the end of the day, make sure to use a slightly casual tone and add the word please at the end for what we call extra warmth. Fantastic. Let's get to the next phrase. Sorry, I missed that. Could you go over it again? Now, this particular phrase is honest and conversational. That is why it works magic at the end of the day. You use this particular phrase during casual or semi-formal situations, and make sure to keep your delivery relaxed and friendly. Fantastic. Let's get to the next phrase. Could you say that again a bit more slowly, please? Now, this particular phrase works simply because it helps to improve both clarity and understanding. And you get to use this particular phrase when someone is speaking too fast. And again, make sure to use a gentle tone to avoid sounding critical. Great, let's get to the next phrase. I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand. Could you explain that again? Now, this particular phrase encourages clearer communication. Okay, and you use this particular phrase when the issue is understanding and not just hearing. Make sure to use a gentle, inquisitive tone, since you use this phrase when you need more detail and not just a repetition of whatever was said. Great, let's get to the next phrase. Sorry about that. Could you repeat what you just said? Now, this particular phrase is natural and widely used. And you get to use this in what we call general purpose or friendly conversations. Make sure to keep your tone light to maintain the flow. Fantastic. Let's get to the next phrase. I didn't quite get that. Would you mind saying it again? Now, this particular phrase works because it balances politeness with natural speech. And you use this particular phrase during casual professional settings. And make sure to use a slight upward tone to sound curious and not annoyed. Fantastic. Let's get to the next phrase. Could you please repeat that last sentence? Now, this particular phrase is very clear and precise, and you get to use it in formal or structured conversations. Make sure to use a formal tone, as this is great for meetings or important discussions. Great. Let's get to the next phrase. I'm sorry, I missed what you said after the word repetition. Could you repeat that again? Now, this particular phrase works simply because it shows active listening and attention to detail. You use this particular phrase when you partially heard the message, and remember to use a gentle tone and repeat the keyword clearly. Let's get to the next phrase. Sorry, could you run that by me again? Now, this particular phrase sounds natural and conversational, and you get to use this phrase during casual or friendly professional conversations. Remember to use a slightly casual tone, as you can use this with peers or in a relaxed setting. Let's get to the next phrase. Would you mind going over that again for clarity? Now, this particular phrase works because it emphasizes the importance of understanding, and you use this particular phrase in a formal or business environment. Make sure to use a calm and composed tone. That is the trick. Great. Let's get to the next phrase. Apologies, I didn't quite follow. Could you repeat that? Now, this particular phrase is polite and honest. Alright? Use this particular phrase when you lose track of the conversation. Okay? Make sure to use an honest, polite tone and nod while listening, simply because it helps your tone to sound engaged. Fantastic. Let's get to the next phrase. Sorry, could you say that again? I want to make sure I understood you correctly. Now, this particular phrase works simply because it shows professionalism and care, and you use this particular phrase in important conversations where accuracy matters. So make sure to use a formal tone, as this phrase is commonly used in client or business calls. Great, let's get to the next phrase. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your last point. Could you repeat it? Now, this particular phrase is very precise and respectful, and you use it in structured discussions or presentations. And a pro tip here is to make sure that you say the word last point clearly to guide them, okay? Or rather, say the last point clearly to guide them. Now, let's get to the next phrase. Could you please go over that again? I want to be sure I didn't miss anything. Now, this particular phrase works because it shows thoroughness and attention. Okay, you use this particular phrase in detailed or complex conversations, and make sure that you use a polite tone and take notes after they repeat. Fantastic. Let's get to the last phrase of the day. Sorry, I didn't quite hear that clearly. Would you mind repeating it? Now, this particular phrase works because it's polite, clear, and effective, and use this particular phrase in what we call general situations with slight audio issues. Make sure to always maintain a patient tone, even if it happens multiple times. Well, up to that point, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been an absolute pleasure having you for this episode. Thank you so much, and see you on the next one. Bye bye.